Honda hybrid owners. The 5 biggest mistakes Honda ehev owners make are the same ones that lead to "my MPG sucks," "why does the engine turn on so much," and "this hybrid feels weird sometimes." And here's the twist. Most of these aren't Honda problems. They're owner habit problems that hybrids expose faster than regular gas cars. Let's break this down. If you want to understand cars before you buy them, you're in the right place. Subscribe, because hybrids are simple once someone explains what's actually happening. Picture this. You buy an Accord hybrid or CR-V hybrid because you want the smart life, fewer gas station stops, smoother driving, and a car that doesn't punish your wallet. The first week is amazing. Then real life starts. Your MPG isn't what you expected, the engine turns on when you swear it shouldn't, sometimes it revs randomly, the brakes feel different than your old car, and at some point you start wondering if you made a mistake. Most of the time, the car is fine. It's your routine that's fighting the system. So I'm going to give you the 5 biggest mistakes Honda hybrid owners make and exactly what to do instead, in plain English. Mistake number 1. Doing endless short trips and trusting the maintenance minder like it's a magic human. This is the quiet killer for MPG and long-term engine health, and almost nobody connects it to hybrids. Here's the reality. Short trips are the hardest life an engine can live. Cold starts, quick shutdowns, never reaching full operating temperature, moisture and fuel vapor never fully cooking off. And on a Honda ehev hybrid, short trips can be even more confusing because the engine doesn't behave like a normal car. Sometimes it starts just to warm the catalytic converter. Sometimes it starts because you asked for cabin heat. Sometimes it starts to protect battery state of charge. Sometimes it starts because the system wants the engine to run at an efficient load point and generate power. So owners see the engine coming on and think, why is my hybrid acting like a gas car? But the deeper issue is this. If your life is 2 miles to work, 1 mile to the store, 3 miles home, you're living in the least efficient, highest emissions, most oil-contaminating part of the engine's operating life. And yes, this is based on boring mechanical reality. On short trip cycles, engine oil can accumulate moisture and, depending on the engine design and driving pattern, some fuel dilution over time. It's not hybrid only, but hybrids can make people more likely to ignore it because they assume the engine does less. Here's the question that tells you if you're in the danger zone. Does your car ever get fully warm and stay warm for 15 to 20 minutes? If the answer is not really, then you don't want to push oil changes to the absolute limit just because the dashboard says you can. The maintenance minder is smart, but it's still an algorithm. It can't see your oil in a lab. It's estimating based on operating conditions. What to do instead, in real-life terms? Combine errands when you can so the engine reaches full temp and stays there. If you're mostly short trips, consider changing oil a little earlier than the max interval just as cheap insurance. And once a week or once every 2 weeks, do a longer drive, 20 to 30 minutes, so everything fully heats up and stabilizes. This one change alone fixes a lot of "my hybrid MPG isn't great" complaints. Mistake number 2. Trying to force EV mode with your right foot and accidentally making the car less efficient. This is one of the most common hybrid owner behaviors because Honda hybrids feel EV-like at low speed, so people get addicted to keeping the engine off. So they start driving like this, feathering the throttle, creeping up to speed painfully slowly, trying to keep the power meter in the EV zone, then suddenly stabbing the pedal when they realize they're about to miss a gap. And then they say the car is jerky, or the engine kicks on at random, or the MPG is inconsistent. Here's what nobody tells you clearly. The hybrid system doesn't reward engine off at all costs. It rewards smooth energy flow. So if you baby it so hard that you drain the battery repeatedly, the system eventually has to pay that energy back. And sometimes it pays it back in the least satisfying way. The engine turns on at a moment that feels unrelated to your foot input because it's protecting battery state of charge and emission strategy. So where it gets interesting is a hybrid battery is not a free energy source, it's a buffer. If you take a bunch of energy out of the buffer, the system has to put it back, and depending on speed, temperature, and demand, that recharge can happen at times that feel annoying and can even be less efficient than just letting the engine contribute calmly earlier. So the people who get the best MPG in hybrids are usually not the people who try the hardest. They're the people who drive smooth and let the system do the math. What to do instead? Accelerate normally but smoothly, not fast, not slow, smooth. Avoid the feather then stab driving style. That's what makes hybrids feel weird. Use early gentle braking to maximize regen instead of trying to hypermile the throttle. Here's a simple question that changes your whole experience. Do you want the engine off, or do you want the lowest total fuel burned? Those aren't always the same moment to moment. Mistake number 3. Ignoring the battery cooling path and cabin filter, especially if you have pets, kids, or a dusty interior. This one is the most underrated hybrid maintenance fact, and it's where a lot of long-term battery aging gets accelerated for no dramatic reason. Your hybrid battery needs to stay within a comfortable temperature range. Heat is the enemy of battery longevity. Many hybrids use cabin air to help cool the battery pack through vents and a fan system. The exact location varies by model and generation, but the principle is the same. The battery is breathing the same air your passengers breathe. So, if your interior is full of dust, pet hair, lint, crumbs, and you never change the cabin air filter, that stuff can end up in the airflow system. Over time, reduced airflow equals higher battery temperature. Higher battery temperature equals faster battery aging. This doesn't always show up as a big warning light at first. It shows up as subtle stuff. MPG slowly declining over months or years, engine running more often to support the system, the car feeling less electric than it used to, battery assist feeling weaker under load. And because it's gradual, people blame the hybrid system when the root cause is basic airflow and maintenance. What to do instead? Find the battery air intake location for your specific Honda hybrid. Make sure it's not blocked by bags, jackets, seat covers, or stuff jammed against it. Change your cabin air filter on schedule. It's cheap, and it affects airflow quality in the entire cabin. If you have pets, or you bought a used hybrid and the interior looks like a dog lived in it, ask a hybrid competent shop about inspecting and cleaning the battery cooling fan path at sensible intervals. Here's the quick reality check. If your interior is filthy, assume the battery cooling system has been breathing that too.
Mistake number 4. Treating regen like it means brakes don't matter, and then letting brake fluid and rotors turn into a problem. Hybrids use regenerative braking. The motor becomes a generator when you slow down, recovering energy instead of wasting it as heat. So yes, pads can last longer. But here's the mistake. People hear pads last longer and mentally translate it to brakes don't matter anymore. They skip brake fluid changes. They never use the friction brakes hard enough to keep the rotors clean. They drive gently for months, especially in wet climates, and the rotors develop surface rust and uneven deposits. Then, one day, they get vibration, noise, or a weird grabby feeling, and they think something is wrong with the hybrid system. It's not. It's just brakes doing brake things. 2 facts most people don't know. 1. Brake fluid absorbs moisture over time. That's basic chemistry. Moisture lowers boiling point and can promote internal corrosion in braking components. This is why brake fluid service is time-based, not just mileage-based. 2. Because regen does so much slowing, the friction brakes sometimes don't get used hard enough to scrub the rotors clean, especially if the car sits or lives in a wet or salty environment. So what to do instead? Follow a reasonable brake fluid service interval for your climate and usage. If you're not sure, ask a good shop. Don't guess, but also don't treat it as optional. Every so often, safely do a few firmer stops so the friction brakes actually work and keep rotor surfaces healthy. Not panic stops, just enough to use the brakes meaningfully. Here's a question that exposes this mistake fast. Do your brakes feel grabby after rain or after the car sits overnight? That's often your friction system telling you it's not getting used enough or the surfaces are getting cruddy. Mistake number 5. Letting the wrong shop service the AC system like it's a normal gas car. This is the expensive one, and it's the one that can turn a simple AC issue into a major repair. Many modern hybrids, including many Honda hybrids, use an electric AC compressor. That compressor is powered by high voltage, and it often requires a specific compressor oil with electrical insulating properties. In many Honda, Acura, hybrid, and EV applications, Honda specifies ND Oil 11 for the electric compressor system. Always verify for your exact model and year, but the point stands. This system is not just like any other AC. Here's the trap. Some quick lube places and general AC shops treat every AC system the same. They use equipment that's been used on conventional cars. That equipment can be contaminated with the wrong oil. Some shops add stop leak. Some use universal oils. And with electric compressors, contamination and incorrect oil can cause serious issues. because the compressor is part of a high-voltage system where insulation integrity matters. So what do? If your hybrid AC needs service, go to a shop that explicitly understands hybrid AC procedures, uses the correct oil, and ideally has dedicated equipment or proper procedures to avoid cross-contamination. If anyone says, AC is AC, it's all the same, that's your cue to leave. Because this is one of the few mistakes that can take a minor comfort problem and turn it into a major repair. Now let's do a quick reality check, because at this point you might be thinking, okay, so is hybrid ownership just a list of rules? No, this is the good news. Once you stop making these mistakes, Honda hybrids are ridiculously easy to live with. And here's the bigger lesson that most people never hear. Honda hybrids don't punish you for being bad at cars. They punish inconsistency. Short trips with long oil intervals, fighting the system to stay in EV mode, ignoring airflow and cooling, skipping time-based fluids because it's a hybrid, letting the wrong shop touch hybrid-specific AC hardware. That's where the regrets come from. Now I want to myth bust two things really quick, because these myths keep people from fixing the real problem. Myth 1, if my engine turns on a lot, my hybrid is broken. Not necessarily. Hybrids run engines for reasons that have nothing to do with propulsion, warming up emissions equipment, heating the cabin, maintaining battery state, and protecting system temperature. The question is whether it's doing it excessively compared to other owners in your climate with your driving pattern. Myth 2, if I drive as gently as possible, I'll always get the best MPG. Not always. Smooth is good, but forcing EV mode can backfire if it causes the system to recharge the battery later at worse times. The best MPG often comes from smooth acceleration, early braking, and letting the system choose efficient engine operating points. Now, let's make this useful starting tomorrow. Here's the quick stop doing this checklist you can actually remember. If you're mostly short trips, don't stretch oil intervals like you're trying to win a contest. Give the engine a longer drive occasionally. Stop gaming EV mode, drive smoothly, and let the system do the math. Keep the battery cooling intake clear and change the cabin filter on time, especially if you have pets. Don't ignore brake fluid, and don't let rotors rust up from never using friction brakes. Only service the AC at a hybrid competent shop using the correct oil and procedures. If you do those 5 things, a Honda hybrid can be one of the lowest drama cars you'll ever own. And if you want a bonus that saves people from a ton of hybrid is acting weird panic, if the car starts throwing weird warnings or acting glitchy, don't instantly assume the big hybrid battery is dying. On many modern cars, including hybrids, a weak 12-volt battery can cause weird behavior. Simple stuff can look scary on hybrids because there are more computers involved. If this helped, subscribe. Next, I'll do the flip side. The 5 habits Honda hybrid owners have that make these cars feel unbelievably smooth and get the best real-world MPG, without turning driving into a game.